everyone, welcome to this Meet the Speaker series. I'm here today with Daniel Christian. How are you doing, Daniel?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, except it's a bit cold outside. And as you can see, we're really in the elements.
We are.
So, can you please introduce yourself really quick?
Sure. So, my name's Daniel Christian. I am a Microsoft MVP, and I focus on business apps and business solutions. My personal area of interest has always been on PowerApps, Flow, Power BI, and basically any data connectors I can get my hands on. That's what I do. My personal interests are always around data connections to SharePoint and Azure SQL, and recently it has been a lot with cognitive services to use AI and machine learning
To enhance all of that.
Exactly.
How long you've been playing with SharePoint or fighting with SharePoint, depending on how
boy.
you look at it?
Oh, that brings back some memories. So my first SharePoint ever was SharePoint 2003. It was
Wow.
it wasn't even SharePoint Server at that time. It was SharePoint Portal. But that was now that I sit back and I look at it and I kind of reminisce, I have some hot eggs too at that time. I firsthand noticed the evolution of SharePoint.
Yeah.
And it has grown so much from what it was to what it is today. And then now with the availability of SharePoint Online, people don't have to worry about standing up farms anymore, supporting it. You can go ahead, set up a subscription, be either an enterprise side or a business side, get your account, and in minutes you can have your SharePoint site.
Yeah.
That's something you could not do before, and you can do that now. So I have seen SharePoint evolve and grow myself, and I'm so happy where we are today, because 15 years ago it was difficult.
I mean, you've seen it before. InfoPath and Designer were there, right?
Yeah, it is.
How could you even do stuff in 2003? Or you couldn't? It was
you
old
couldn't.
code?
I personally jumped into InfoPath and SharePoint Designer back in SharePoint Server 2007.
Okay.
That's when I really got into it. I loved the InfoPath and SharePoint Designer growth in SharePoint 2010 and then 2013. Those were huge.
Yeah.
I mean, even SharePoint itself, back in with business data connectivity services, when 2010 and 2013 came around, not only could I make a BDC or BCS connection, but I can write back to it. Oh, that was huge. That was huge.
No more APIs to call, no more
Nothing.
SQL queries to
I
build.
can write back to SQL too. I can do reporting and everything. That was huge. But that was still on-prem days. But SharePoint Online just makes things a lot easier. And now with the integration of PowerApps and Flow and Power BI, and that was another thing, because I was a little apprehensive of PowerApps and Flow. I'll be honest about that, because I was a hardcore InfoPath and SharePoint Designer user to some extent. I still have to, because there's some legacy stuff over there.
Yeah.
And when it came out that PowerApps and Flow was the successor, I was cautiously optimistic, but I did a lot of proof of concepts for myself first.
Yeah.
I said that I can take a fairly advanced, medium to advanced InfoPath and SharePoint Designer solutions, and to my surprise, I could rebuild them in PowerApps and Flow. And not only could I rebuild it, I could take it to the next level, because now I can make mobile apps out of it.
Yeah.
I can make data connections to anything, not just Outlook, but to Gmail. And
Inside and outside 365.
inside and outside. So when I was so impressed with it, I said, I'm going to just take all the time I have to tell the entire world. And that's what actually made me an MVP too. My MVP status is in business solutions.
When did you get your MVP?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Nice.
Yeah, I was nominated by specific people from the PowerApps team. They've nominated me, and then lo and behold, I just became an MVP. And to this day, that's my goal. My goal is to convince each and every person, especially SharePoint people, that if you're not using PowerApps, if you're not using customized forms, guys, just get on it, start playing with it, because you have no idea what you're missing. It's going to make your life so much easier.
Yeah. Going back to 2003, you're in IT before playing with SharePoint, right?
I was.
What were you doing before SharePoint?
So I was I spent the first, I would say, 6 months of my life racking and stacking servers 3 stories underground. That's all I did, racking and stacking servers. And then I had the passion for file servers. My manager at that time realized that, this guy has a little passion for that. So that's all I did. I used to support file servers. We would have files located on the file servers, document libraries, and I would create document libraries for people, and go ahead and break permissions, create permissions for that. And so my manager at that time said, hey, file servers, here, I'm going to give you the booklet of how to on SharePoint, and you take over SharePoint 2003 because it's a web-based file server. And that's basically how it started. I didn't make the decision. The manager said, "Oh, he knows file servers.
Yeah.
Let him do SharePoint too."
Was it a proper book written by somebody?
It was just a how-to book at that time. I can't even
It was
remember
like
who
the
author was.
README and
It was exactly the SharePoint for Dummies kind of a book thing.
Isn't it still funny that some people still see SharePoint as a file server on the web?
Yeah, I know.
Even
It's
15 years later, something's changed, some things don't
haven't
change at all.
changed. And that's what I love about the whole collaboration of Office 365 these days too, is that don't just think as SharePoint as a file server. There's OneDrive for that. If you want to put videos, well, there's videos for that. SharePoint is the base, fundamental, really strong platform. But I tell people that don't misunderstand. There's other things that you want to all leverage in over there. I mean, Microsoft Teams is a fantastic example for that too. Don't get scared of it. Start playing with it. Start going ahead and pulling all these other entities in, because you have no idea what you're missing. Just don't use SharePoint for everything. I mean, you can. You're missing out on a whole bunch of things.
And you've probably seen people use SharePoint for everything, even when they shouldn't.
Yeah, for everything. I mean, especially one of my personal favorites is, they'll go ahead and, still use heavy, on-premise people will use heavy Excel with Power Pivots, Excel spreadsheets that are 50 meg in size.
Ooh.
I have seen that to heavy power pivoting and on that. And I start talking to people, say, have you looked at Power BI? Oh, and by the way, now Power BI integrates fully with SharePoint as well. And it is so much more easier. The Power BI desktop is free. You don't have to buy it. It's all easier. You can go ahead and publish it straight away, pull that into SharePoint. And it's, it just
works.
And it works. Yeah, the licensing is all there. It's taken care of. It's easy. You don't have to install anything, set up another farm. You just go ahead, and if you've got granular permissions, tell your Office 365 admins, hey, just go ahead and hit that little trigger and just turn it on, and it just starts working. Life is so much more easier these days than what it was 15 years ago. It just is.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
SharePoint Conference. Have you attended any of them in the past, or?
So I have. My first and last SharePoint conference was the SharePoint conference in 2014. That was the first one I attended. So it was interesting because that's why I said it. That was the first one, and then that was the last one. So at that time, I was super stoked about SharePoint. I went ahead and attended the conference. It was the first time I actually got to shake hands with Bill Baer. I'll be honest, I did not wash my hands for the rest of the day. I was so excited that I washed my hands with Bill Baer over there. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to wash my hands, but then I did wash my hands. Sorry, Bill, I had to wash my hands. But I was so excited about that. But I didn't attend anything else because SharePoint conference basically
took a break.
But then that's what I love about it, because not only am I attending it, but this is the first time I get to speak over there too. So I am super stoked about this. I'm still geeking out because in my mind, I'm going to go to SharePoint conference. I'm going to shake the hands of Bill Baer. I'm going to shake the hands of all these other people over here. I'm geeking out that I'm standing here talking to you. And so it's going to be a fantastic thing to go over there as an MVP and go talk about it, but just tell people that, hey, I've used it. SharePoint Online is so neat. It has all this integration. And I tell people that if you're ready for an upgrade, if you're even thinking about 2019, just stop. Try online first. Maybe that's going to save you so much more time. Or maybe do a hybrid. There's some content that has to stay on-prem. Let it stay on-prem, but still go ahead and do the hybrid integrations over there, because you can integrate search, you can integrate OneDrive. Yeah. I tell people, keep your options open and think big. Just don't think small anymore.
What are you talking about in Vegas?
What am I talking about? So one of my favorite all-time topics is the one-stop shop for social media communication. So what I've done is actually, and I'm not going to give out all the secrets yet, but through a SharePoint list, I built a customized form, and through that customized form, which is PowerApps, you build.
Of course.
Yep, you have to. With PowerApps, I've gone ahead and connected it with Flow. I've also connected with Cognitive Services, such that now when somebody goes ahead and it say you are in the communications department or the advertising department. Now with one central place, which is with SharePoint and PowerApps, you can go ahead and put in a social media notification, and it can go out to all forms of notifications which you have data connections available. And that's it. I'm not going to share all the secrets over there.
I think I need that. I'll need to find a way to grab the code.
You need to attend my session, because I'm taking care of governance. I'm taking care of, hey, is this information even good? Is there anything wrong? Is it a legitimate information, or is this PG-13 or R-rated? It goes through all of that using AI and machine learning. So
I'll send my marketing guys to your session as well.
you should. You should. I don't want to share all the secrets, but I'm excited.
Oop. Don't worry about it. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
And looking forward to see you in Vegas in
Thank
only
you.
a few months.
Same here.
It's coming on fast.
See you guys, right?
Bye.
See you there.